My name is Titi Horsfall and welcome to the series Mepedo. This episode is based on my novel, From an Orphan to a Queen, Esther. And thus this episode and subsequent ones will be based and focus on the study of the life of Esther. So do you have a hero or heroine whose story inspires you, one whose life is a reference point on how aspects of living can be handled or addressed? I have quite a few. We have my full attention. One of such is Queen Esther of the Bible. And I'm not speaking from a religious context, nor am I trying to preach to you. But I know her as the orphan girl who was born in circumstances that were not conducive for any human being. She was born into slavery. She was the most unlikely to make something useful out of her life, but along the path of life, things changed. She became a queen, the empress or the emperor of the greatest nation upon the face of the earth. And many a times we want to know, how did she do it? What were the truths or the lessons in her life that enabled her to become a queen? Now, becoming a queen is often tied to her beauty status. Fine, she was beautiful. Some may argue that she probably was not the most beautiful maiden at the time in her vicinity. But we know ultimately that she was adorned with much more. She was adorned with favor, grace, and wisdom. Trust you can hear the excitement in my voice because she's really a great woman. One of the greatest lessons from the story of Esther is that a place of privilege is also a very sensitive, delicate, and sometimes dangerous place. It's also a place of favor. Those who occupy such places or seek to do so should inculcate a spirit of humility, because humility preserves, humility keeps one grounded, and humility naturally disarms and gets the protective care of the divine. A second lesson to note from Esther's life is that we should never lose our identity when the seasons prosper us. When it's all rosy and it's all beautiful, let us always stay grounded in who we are and where we're coming from. Keep your background in view, because there are people behind you who are still rooting for you, seeking to support you, and you may turn back to them at some point in time. And then treasure that person that you are. Let the truth always ring in your heart that you are fearfully and you're wonderfully made, and you're made for a time and a season. There's always a purpose attached to anyone's race. Now, the third lesson to learn from Esther's story is that we all know or have desires, big dreams of where we want to go to, the destination, the end point. But there's always a preparation and a process. And how do we address ourselves? How do we manage ourselves on the course of the preparation? So imagine you're invited to take up a role or an appointment which is garnished with glamour, allure, and high praise. It is one of the most sought after positions available. However, the full weight of that role is not apparent at the beginning. So when one steps into that position and begins to understand the politics and the responsibilities that go beyond the call of service, noting that the skill or qualification with which one came into that position or that place is not what will sustain one in there, then we appreciate Esther's story. So had Esther known the full weight of what the journey ahead entailed, she probably may not have made herself available for the selection process. She was an orphan. She had no father. She had no mother. She was born into captivity and had witnessed brazen acts of brutality to deter her. She had heard stories of what was done to her people, and all they had were dreams of when they would go back home to their ancestral place. So just like Esther, our journey in life has taken us through paths that we probably may not have opted for if the choice was left to us. Some have gone into positions or moved to places that caused them to rejoice greatly initially. But when the challenges associated with those positions or places showed up, did they have the nature of Esther to dig their foot in and tenaciously persevere? So clearly, all Esther had gone through in life prepared her for what was ahead. All in life are on a journey. We have expectations, but do not know the full weight associated. How prepared are you? How prepared are we? That while giving focus to the end point, always give room on how we are preparing and how we are being prepared and molded for the journey ahead. Often, there is inner strength in us that we're not aware of until we face certain aspects of our journey. So that when we look back, we begin to note the certain milestones in our lives that prepared us for such a time as this. King David, for instance, at some point in his life, he took account of his preparation. How are you preparing? So in the journey of life, there's a process and a preparation. Queen Esther was prepared for the role she took up, though at the time she probably did not realize that that was the direction she was going, and faced eventualities. Do note that eventualities are not necessarily negatives that test one's fortitude. It could be something as positive, as beautiful as having a new baby, who depends entirely on you. That's responsibility associated with taking on a journey into marriage. So in life, there are times and seasons that great blessings come one's way, but due to the unexpectedness of such beautiful blessings, they may not be tapped in a way that is effective in the long run. There are people who have come into great places of influence, but they were not prepared for it, and as such, it did not translate to the good of society. A good person may come into one's life, and while it is apparent that that person is good, vital for connecting life, people were probably not prepared in how to manage relationships and how to get the best out of people in a very positive light. Great ideas have been birthed, opportunities presented, but foundations had not been prepared or built upon, no structure to take these on. So as much as you have your eyes focused on your target, give attention to the process of the journey. It is in that state of attention given that one recognizes the matching of the preparedness to the expected goal. Every step you take is preparatory to where you're going to. So whatever the case may be, best always in your journey and keep being on the winning side. May our journeys be smooth and may we be fashioned for it. Much love, Titi.
Mepedo.